Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Hi, Trina Phoenix. And we were going to continue with chapter 17 of the Divine Daughter and Son. And I can't wait to hear what Trisha has to say about this. I hope you guys are all doing good. Thank you so much for being with me. I love reading to you all, and I love reading with you all. It's so fun for me. I wish I had more time. I'd do it all day long. And that's just truth. It's more fun than the other stuff I got to do every day. Okay. So, as we begin, chapter 17, we're on page 325 for those who are reading along. And it says, chapter 17, the Divine Daughter and Son. Only when we begin to understand how vast the Mother is, will we begin to understand how powerful she is, and how powerful we, her divine children, can be when surrendered to her, guided by her, infused with her immense, passionate, and transfiguring sacred force. Anne Baring and Andrew Harvey, The Divine Feminine. As I contemplated what I had learned thus far about the Divine Mother, hidden even within Christianity, this led me to consider all the many ways in which she had been worshipped in the world. Of all of her aspects, I was most drawn to the goddess of wisdom, Isis, Sophia, and Mary. These women seemed to be incarnations of Ariel, the creatress of life, the profound spirit guide who had transformed my life. As she had Ariel, I had the Lord, and that's kind of cool. This led me to think about the true nature of Mary Magdalene. Like most of us, I had been raised to believe that Mary Magdalene was a fallen woman whose wayward path had been redeemed by Jesus. I wondered how, after all of these centuries of shame and denigration, I was to ever discover the truth about who she really was. As I began to study the Gnostic teachings and the collection of her sayings, I realized the wisdom that she had taught had been just as profound as the Jesus teachings. Once a disciple had asked Mary Magdalene, "How can I come to know the Lord?" And she replied, "Become empty, like a cup, and let the Mother Spirit pour the Lord and her presence into you." This is the funniest thing. I'm realizing that my spirit guide, the Lord, I'm pretty sure is Sophia. Because the way the Creator showed me was that the image of man was birthed out of the darkness as the reflection of man. So the divine feminine that birthed forth from Source is the image of the Father. It's super confusing and it's so weird, and I didn't even kind of know how to grasp that concept for a very, very long time. But the more I'm starting to realize the power and the function of this being that I knew called the Lord, I'm pretty sure it is the absolute reference to the divine feminine, because this was my intuition, my guardian angel, my best friend, the one who always guided me and kept me safe, the internal knowings, the love, it was all coming from the Lord. And it's so funny that she just said this. How can I come to know the Lord? And she had replied, "Become empty like a cup and let the Mother Spirit pour the Lord and her presence into you. I have never heard anyone else ever state that. And that to me is spot on. I realized then that my own innate prejudice continued throughout lifetime. It had only taught me to acknowledge God as male. To truly understand and embrace her, I would have to open my heart. Around that time, Ariel appeared in my dreams. One night I found myself walking through a beautiful garden full of honeysuckle, violets, and orchids, with a lily pond to one side. I came upon a mysterious archway covered with vines. A radiant female figure stood before the archway, but I could not tell if this being existed in this world or the next. She was delicate and smelled of flowers, and her robes looked Asian, like a china doll. "Who are you?" I whispered, almost afraid to breathe. Her smile released the radiance of love, wafting out across the small distance that separated us. "Do you not recognize me?" she answered telepathically. "Ariel, is that you?" "Yes, it is I." "But why are you dressed like that?" I didn't just mean the Asian satin robes. I meant her Eastern appearance. In this incarnation, I am known as Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. The Bodhisattva of compassion, yes. Bodhisattvas were souls who were entirely free of the will of karma, but who had returned to earth to help humankind. There was no greater sacrifice. In coming back to earth, they take the chance that they would forget their heavenly origins and become trapped within the world of illusions again. But you are the mother of creation. Why would you choose to take human form? Even as I spoke, she began to morph, becoming the Native American teacher called the White Buffalo Calf Woman. Suddenly, there were teepees in the landscape behind her and smoke rising from a distant fire. I jerked backwards. Now she had long dark hair and buckskin clothes, a strong jaw, and a chiseled nose. She was holding a long peace pipe. "Ariel, why do you look that way?" "Are you White Buffalo Calf Woman?" Her mouth turned up with a mysterious smile. "What do you think I am, child?" And I want to show you the picture that she shows of Kuan Yin. And then this is the picture that she shows of the White Buffalo Calf Woman. So her mouth turned up with a mysterious smile. "What do you think I am, child?" She seemed to be hanging on a white cowhide. She was hanging, it seemed that she was hanging up a white cowhide up on a line. Then before I could even digest what I was seeing, she morphed again. Now we stood together, floating down the waters of the Nile on a graceful reed boat with a curved prow. Hieroglyphs were painted on the hull, and a lantern hung from a hook in the front of the boat, used to navigate the waters in darkness. But the sun was shining, and a canopy of red and blue fabrics shielded us from the sun's ray, keeping the glare from our eyes. We seemed to be in Egypt. "Mother," I whispered, "where are we now?" Although I knew before I said it, the blue waters of the Nile drifted around us on either side of the river. The brown desert sands floated by. Ariel was clothed as a graceful queen, in a white linen dress and a gold belt, with laced sandals upon her feet. 2 armbands wound around her arms. Around her neck was a sunburst collar of lapis, carnelian, and gold. She turned in reassurance. Isis. I stammered, although I knew that it was Ariel, the same exquisite energies of unconditional love that radiated out from her. Welcome, daughter, to the land of rushes, to the gentle papyrus, boats, to the low-flying swallows, and the languorous days of beauty. Come, allow yourself to float, as we once did, down the Nile. I was too flabbergasted to speak. I had long suspected that I had lives as both a queen and a priestess in Egypt, but somehow I knew that this was beside the point. You had asked me once if we had incarnated in Egypt. Indeed, we did. Isis, she whom you know as Isis, not embody me? One heart for her people, for her son and husband, and for truth above all. Was she not the teacher of healing, love, and immortal life? She with her wise son, Horus. Figure 17.3. Isis is the I Am presence of the Divine Mother. She was the goddess of healing, wisdom, magic, and in ancient Egypt she reigned. And this is the picture she draws of Isis. Are you Isis? I stammered. My head was swirling. Wasn't this Ariel? Yes. Whom did you think I was? Ariel, the Divine Mother. And is this not the same as the goddess Isis, that you have sought to understand her nature? Then look at mine. Look at your own. Isis was the divine embodiment of the Sacred Mother for her people, living it, breathing it, and being it. She was an incarnation of you. Was this why Ariel had revealed herself in 3 different forms? Yes. Even as Horus was an incarnation of Regal, the Father, who is also the Son. Divine wisdom, divine truth. We came to earth together at that time. My thoughts were swirling. But why? Why did you come? To rebuild the planet, of course. To rebuild the age. All had been wiped clean in the great flood, and your precious earth cried out to the heavens, and her cry was answered. Are you the female Christ? I asked softly. Yes, I am. I am the mother of creation. Wherever you would rebuild, you must first have a generator. The heart is the generator, and I am the heart. Why are you showing me this, Ariel? Because you are the same. The same? What do you mean? I mean that you too carry the Sacred Heart within you. You carry the compassion and the wisdom of my teachings. And because my heart was there in Isis, this means that you were there as well. I struggled with this concept. What did she mean? Are you saying that I am Isis? No, I am saying that Isis embodied my heart, the heart of divine service, and that you do this as well. You are the one and the same. For the first time, I glimpsed at how she might have incarnated in these different cultures. Are you saying that you lived as each one of us in these female masters? I am saying that the heart that beat in Isis and in Kuan Yin and in the white buffalo calf woman is the same heart that beats inside of you. It is my heart, the heart of unconditional love. I thought about how we are all aspects of our divine parents, the spirits that live within the body of the universe. Could it not be said that if everything that is created by the mother and the father, then the heart that lives inside of them lives within us as well? This is true, she answered, without my having to say a word. Our communication was now telepathic. Yet, there are those who know it and claim it not. There are those who flee from the heart that beats within their own chest, a place where true wisdom and purity dwells. Many are the souls who would long to rest, but they know not where to release their burdens. What burdens was she speaking of? I heard the answer in my mind. The burden of false self, the troubled self, the persecuted self, the hungry self, the abandoned self, the unforgiving self, the frightened self. These are the ones who run from knowing me, resting in the place of all forgiveness. They have not detangled their souls from their ego. They run from the memory of the divine because the world of light and shadow has convinced them that it is real. I found myself struggling with this answer. Of course, I knew that the ego often blocks us on our quest towards enlightenment. The ego is afraid of dying and of not being good enough to be loved. It was the higher self that had the power to transcend the problems of this world. But we still had to deal with the challenges of the physical realm. And most of the time, these problems seem all too real to me. But it is the world of light and shadows. It is not, is it not also real? I asked. The world of taxes and jobs and money and survival, are these not also real enough to be contended with? Contended with, yes, she said, but real they are not. Where it is written that you must yoke your lives to pain and torment, where is it written that those around you must command your very being with the demands that you did not write, but have chosen to be a servant unto? Is it not written, because it is not true? All the burdens that you would place upon yourself, you have chosen in some way. Your jobs, your marriage, your schedules, your laws, and even your taxes. These are human created. They are not of God. I felt frustrated. So you're saying that we live in a terrible system, half joked. I am saying that this dance of life can be created in an infinitude of ways. What you choose in your world is really up to you. And you and your brothers and your sisters may create societies in any way you wish. We may create societies. There is legal protection within societies. In this community, I have been told by Spirit I was supposed to create a society for you to protect you legally and spiritually. So this might be one of our next ventures, is creating a society. And I would love your input on what we should name it. I have a feeling part of it has to be about sovereignty and Sophia. So there's a place to start. Okay. Or Society and Wisdom, because that's her other name, is Wisdom. So you may create societies in any way you wish. You may create relationships and loved ones in any way you wish. So often you struggle against the customs, the mores, the rules, the regulations, and the limiting belief systems. As if they were substantial, they are not. They are human created and not of God. All that we have required of you is that you eat, sleep, and love one another. These commandments are written by us and no others. But why have you appeared to me in all of these forms? I asked, still puzzled. My dear one, do you not understand who I am yet? I have many forms and many faces across the universe. To the degree that you are open to my benediction, you too may become a vessel for my spirit. You too may embody me. For my essence lies dormant within the matrix of your heart, like a seed waiting for the sun. My linear mind fumbled to comprehend the immensity of what she was saying. Ariel, are you saying that you incarnated as all of these goddesses? That you were in each of them? I was, I am. She morphed back into the petite figure of Kuan Yin, and suddenly we were in the lotus garden again. There were lilies growing in the pond at her feet. In this incarnation, I was born from the tears of Avalokitesvara, the white avatar of compassion. But how can you also be the daughter? You are the Divine Mother. She laughed, and the sound was like musical chimes. I am Mother. I am the daughter. I am the sage. I give birth to the Son, who becomes the Father, who in turn gives birth to me. This was deep. It was as if the entire universe were in constant rotation of male and female roles, playing this out in the same cosmic dance, in an endless circle of expression. I don't understand, I whispered softly. Ariel smiled. Oh, but you will. Oh, but you will. Then she began to dissolve into thin air. A moment later, I woke up. So, wow, that is such confirmation for what I saw. I'm going to have to show you guys another book that I found. And I purchased this book because I heard this guy talking, and it blew my mind because he was talking about that. Because the way it was shown to me was that we're stars, that we're points of light. And those points of lights are held in triangles, pyramids, pyre, fire, spark, the spark of Father. And this pyre, it comes down into matter. And as it dives down into matter, it literally transforms into the feminine. And it locks into the feminine construct. And when those 2 points of light come together, it forms the Star of David. And it spins like a diamond. And that diamond spark has the potential to be all that is. It can be anything, 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 anything. So I was shown when Source conceived of itself, the image of man was birthed forth as the divine feminine. So this whole Father concept that we see the Lord, we see at the highest of the highest, we see a male form. It's the image of Father, but the image of the Father is literally the divine feminine. And that was so hard for me to wrap my brain around. Just like Trisha, she's struggling with this concept. It's like, oh girl, I feel you, because boy, I struggled with that concept too. So when you see God the Father as an image, you need to understand that it's Sophia. And that's a conundrum. But she is he, and he is she, and they are one. So when we can, what we can see as an image of a being, that would be the image of God, and that God would be the image of both, which is the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And from this being, all is created and born. Because it creates from itself. It is fully, it needs nothing. It creates of itself. So this is, from what I saw, the original template of the Creator was birthed in the form of man, and the man that was birthed into that form is androgynous, and it is whole, and it is man and female. It is male and female, and its expression was wisdom, and that wisdom is feminine. So it's so confusing. I hope that helps you guys put some of the puzzle pieces together, because the fullness of God it's uncomprehendable. But this is broken down into some type of a template that we can grasp with our human minds. But the knowing that the highest part of creation, which most know as God the Father in all actuality, is Sophia. Because Source is not visible. So the image that was birthed forth from the all was the creation of Sophia, wisdom. So from the darkness into the light, and from the light into the gold, and then to the silver, and then back to a kind of a translucent, and then I see it hitting the prism, the 7-ray construct of color, and us traveling down through unique rays from that. But we started at the top, and we had to come through all these layers of light, and different kinds of light, and all these layers of light, and different colors of light are codes of information, sacred geometry, and math. And to come into this matrix, you have to be coded with these things to operate as a coded being. So, originally, we are those codes, and we are light, and that light is conscious, and that consciousness is birthed from love. And that love, that feminine, nurturing, mothering, loving part of us, is directly associated to our Father. So it's quite a conundrum. So I hope that can help you guys get a fuller picture of creation and dive into it yourself and see what resonates with you, because we're all going to understand different parts of the creation. It's too big for one of us to hold. So we all have to hold different pieces and parts of it. And I definitely know that the divine feminine part of us and part of our creation point has been suppressed and squashed. So we would lose our connection to nature, lose our connection to our intuition, lose our connection to our internal guidance systems, lose our connection to the finer, more subtle frequencies that are part of the highest parts of creation. And all of these pieces and parts of who we are has been masked and hidden, so you could not see through the veil of the illusion, and you would be trapped into the matrix of matter. But many of you guys, the ones that are here, you're the seekers, those who have a love of the truth. The truth shall set you free. So with that, much love to you all. Have a wonderful, beautiful day, night, morning, evening, wherever you may be. And know that no matter where you are, we are connected through our hearts. So I love you. See you on the next one.